We're about to go live today. Wall Street sizing up, and we are live. Stock market news today for March 10th, year of our Lord 2021. This is quick bites of news and notes from the markets for the geeks and the traders and the misfits. Hopefully, most of this you will not see on CNBC, but some you will. I try not to hit the bigger stories because those are going to get reported. But I've got these newsletters that I kind of crunch together and just pull out some cool stuff that I think is good for the investor to know. So with that, let's get started, and we will get started with the markets today. The markets were up. You can actually see it here. Dow was up. Dow had a little bit of a sell-off towards the end. It was up, I want to say 250 at one point. Ended at 188 up. NASDAQ was up huge. Started huge and just continued to climb to about the midday. It was up 329, and the S&P was up 40. Big movers. I don't see any huge ones that are actually talked about too much. AVO was up big yesterday, but it's down 21 today. Anyway, we want to check that. Then we want to check the crypto. Man, it's getting to the point where we have to check Bitcoin every day, right? And it is currently at 57,695. I believe that, or it's 58th all-time high. I'd have to check, but it's getting to the point where you've got to check crypto every day, right? There's so many large companies jumping in with their reserves, putting them in Bitcoin like it's gold. It's just something that you've got to check. Now it's gone to 58. Looks like. All right. Also want to check the reason stocks are up today is this right here. The U.S. Treasury yield is 1.528. As long as that stays below 1.6, which is where the S&P dividend yield is, then from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, please fact check me. But at the 1516 level, especially, that is the S&P dividend yield, and that's where the crossover begins to where wealth wants to run to, or begins to run to the bonds. So that said, let's get to some stories. First one today is Roblux. They debuted today. I know this is a big story, but I did want to say a couple things, right? So with an estimated 199 million monthly active users, MAUs is what they say. As of January, more than half of which are under the age of 13. So Kathy Wood was I know she's a big investor in this. It debuted yesterday. You've got 13-year-olds, most of which, so they're going to grow up with this right here. So for the next 5, maybe even longer out, this will be a very, very good stock. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I'm seeing. They are still unprofitable. The game is more popular with youth than saying yeet for no reason. It's been minting money. Listen to this. Roblox generated almost $1 billion in revenue last year, primarily through the sale of virtual in-game currency called Robux. Although it is yet to turn a profit, the company expects to rake in between $1.4 and $1.5 billion this year. And that is an incredible company, and but you need, if you invest in this, you need to be forward looking. All right, next up is, what do we got here? Oh, this is the search flights. All right, so first up, I didn't put it up there, but American Airlines has told, so they gave 13,000 of their employees, they were going to furlough them. They let them know that, but now that the stimulus package has come through, they told them to tear them up. 13,000 employees, you have a job, and you will continue to have a job as they are being supported by the Payroll Support Program from the 1.9 stimulus package that was passed. I believe it was yesterday. It's not going to get signed until tomorrow, but Biden will sign it. Google searches is pretty interesting stuff. So if you see on the screen here, Google searches for fully vaccinated travel. That's the Google search term. Jumped 750%, and the CDC guidelines for travel spiked 650% on Tuesday. Per Google Trends, you can see here. You can see where everyone's going on the map. So it looks like most of the West Coast and some of the I'd say Mid-East. They're all going down to Miami. I'd say the Midwest here in Texas, some of the Southwest, you know where they're going? Vegas. The blue is going to Hawaii. That is the top travel search spot. So, all right, moving on. Here's our man there. Just wanted to include this. I thought this was an interesting note. Warren Buffett's net reaches $100 billion. Congratulations to him. His, I believe his A shares were, surpassed 400,000 on Wednesday. There it is right there. So, that man's lived a good life. I'm going to give a lot of money away. Got to respect it. All right. What's up next? Well, first of all, the booming, like we didn't know this, but I want to give you some stocks that are good for the electric vehicle demand. Lithium prices have surged, right? So here are the stocks. Here's like my top 6 stocks, right? I Googled this. I looked at them. There wasn't a whole lot of research here, but I would say the top one is, and I'm going to screw it up, is Albemarle Corporation, ALB. There's MP Materials. There's Enersys, ENS. Livent Corp, LTHM. Lithium Americas Corporation, LAC. And Piedmont Lithium, PLL. So there you are. If you want to take advantage of the lithium shortage, and even the really there's just a huge shortage on any type of materials that we want to make electric vehicles or even green electricity. So it's pretty interesting stuff. All right, do I have the next one? Is this Lufthansa? Lufthansa is planning to launch a asset disposal program with the help of Goldman Sachs, starting with the sale of $1 billion in airplanes. Unit seeks to raise cash to emerge from government bailout. So they're trying to raise about 1.19 euro. So they're just going to start selling off these huge jets. That's what they're doing. So the wealthy will be buying the huge jets, or government, or whatever. But that is what they are doing. That's pretty smart, especially since travel has shrunk. Now it's gonna balloon back up, but Lufthansa needs to raise cash now. All right, Beeple. Hadn't heard about NFTs? Now you have. Beeple is probably the biggest artist when it comes to non-fungible tokens, or basically digital art, if you would. There's a lot that goes into that, but I wanted to show this to you. So his NFT artwork sold for $69 million. So let's put this in perspective. So there's what sold. So it's called its first 5,000 days, right? So all these little pixels right here, that is an actual painting you can zoom in on, right? So he started in, I want to say 2014. I could be wrong about that. So fact check me, but 2014, his first 5,000 days, and these are all paintings, all these pixels. So to put that in perspective, here's the deal, guys: $69 million. That's the third highest ever paid for a piece of artwork for a living artist. So there's a guy named Jeff Koons. I don't know anything about this, right? He did a rabbit sculpture that sold for $91 million. Then there's a painting of David Hockney, who I guess he satirized. He in the show BoJack Horseman. I'm not a fan of that show. I don't watch it, but it sold for $90 million. And then you got Beeple that sold for $69 million. So that is quite a rake for him and Christie's. And I don't know if rich guys are just playing that game yet. I think that you might want to buy some, but you can buy something that's $50. Now you've got to use Ethereum. That's really the only crypto you can use. So, but anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Do I have the BlockFi one? I do. BlockFi confirms $350 million Series D funding round at $3 billion valuation. I give you this because I use BlockFi, right? My wife uses BlockFi. I've got a lot of people. If you have cash just sitting there, they will turn it into stable coins and they can use it, right? And they will send your cash back within a day, right? So if you've got if you've got 50 grand sitting around for rainy day, throw it in the BlockFi. It gets 8.6% interest. Why not, right? I'm not saying throw your Bitcoin there, although you could. You can throw your Ethereum and your Link and your what else? Litecoin as well, right? But they raise. I truly believe so. When they go public, and they will, they're backed by Coinbase. They're backed by all the big VC firms, right? They've got huge traction. They're doing. I think their run rate's about 50 million a month, which is phenomenal. I want to tell you that I believe in the next 10 years they will be a top 5 bank, or at least be part of one if they don't get bought out. All right, next up, Jeremy Siegel. You probably heard of him. He's a bull. Don't get me wrong. He's a Wharton professor, but he thinks that value stocks will continue to outperform tech this year, right? And so he went through this. This is on CNBC. I hate to use their website because I tell you, we don't really give you stuff on CNBC, but I thought that this was interesting enough to do that. So he said, I've been extremely bullish here for 9 months. This market still has a ways to go up, so he's still very, very bullish. But the point is that he sees the value stocks outperforming the tech. Not the tech won't perform; it's just the value stocks will outperform. So, all right, we have the stimulus package. I think we've covered that. I mean, do I really need to go into that? I want to see what else I have here. All right. So I want to talk about, with the stimulus package, here's what I want to talk about, the dreaded I word, inflation. So according to the survey of economists by the Wall Street Journal, 80%, did you hear that right? 80% expect inflation to rise above the target 2% due to the latest stimulus package. Not that I'm against the stimulus package. I think there's a lot of pork in there. I will say that. I'm against that part for sure. But overall, it's definitely good. 80% see it rising above 2%. 85% don't see the Fed increasing the interest rate until 2022 or later. So, if inflation's going up, what stocks might you be in? So I read an article today. Here's some stocks that you would like to be. You want to be in strong brands. Like to call it consumer companies, consumer discretionary, like your Nike, your Lululemons. That'd be a good one. Energy. We all know it's outperformed green or traditional, whatever it may be. Commodities seem to do well in rising inflation. We know hard assets do well. We've seen kind of an uncoupling between the Bitcoin and the tech stocks. So that's really good to see. And so if you're looking at Bitcoin as a hard asset or a commodity, which it is, you should see that rise. Oil prices will rise. In fact, oil prices here in Texas, gas prices here in Texas are about $2.24, expected to go above $3 in 2 weeks. Saw that on the local news. Also, financial stocks benefit from rising inflation rates. All right, let's talk about Satoshi Son. So we thought he was done like a year ago after the whole WeWork fiasco, if you would. Check it out. They're going to reap $16 billion of profit. So Kapang went, I believe it IPO'd today, right? It's a South Korean e-commerce company. It's like the Amazon of South Korea, right? SoftBank has a 35% stake in the firm, seeking to raise. So it raised about $3.5 billion by pricing shares above the range at 35. The company sold 100 million shares through 20 million from existing investors are expected to be made available. With a total of 120 million shares, the company would raise $4.2 billion and be valued at about $60 billion. And that's in line with competitors. So congratulations to my Toshi-san. He bets big. Sometimes he loses, but more often than not, he wins big. So check this out. Buzzfeed, our favorite online, I don't know, gossip and all, just all kinds of things they're in. Buzzfeed is in talks to go public via SPAC, right? The news dropped just as a media firm. They just cut staffers. They just cut like 50 staffers today. And I believe that, did they just recently acquired? Yeah, so they just recently acquired the Huffington Post, right? So revenue's going up. I'm trying to get the SPAC's name, and I can't do it. I don't see it on here. But anyway, I think that was very interesting news. So watch for that, because whatever SPAC that is, I don't see it because they're not. I guess they're not saying it. Whatever SPAC that is, that stock is trending up right now. I do want to talk about Tencent as well. As you know, I'm not a big fan of China stocks, especially state-owned stocks. If you hate me for that, or if Mark, why are you saying that? Please go watch Mark Cuban's China Hustle. He does business in China, but yet he still produced a China Hustle, and essentially it's about companies and hedge funds who've gone over there, done their due diligence, and there's a line in the movie that literally Chinese companies are out to screw American investors. So now I say all, but there are quite a few that are, let's just say, all paper. Here's the thing with Tencent. Tencent is going to literally bank in profit this year $120 billion. $120 billion. Sorry, that was in 2020. So Tencent, as you know, is famous, the super app WeChat, right? It's like a combination of Uber and Twitter and DoorDash. You can do almost anything on it that you could do in any of those. Venmo, WhatsApp, you can pay for groceries, you can pay for vending machines, whatever, right? But the company is also one of the world's biggest and largest, savviest investors in the world when it comes to tech investments. All right, check out this. They have 1,200 companies that they have stakes in. 100 of those companies are already public, Chinese or otherwise, right? 1,100 are still private. Gain of $120 billion in 2020 was 6x the company's profit for 2019. A total spend of $80 billion to build these stakes is now worth $280 billion. That's crazy. 6x. So, sorry, that's like a 3x. I'm reading that wrong. At one time, they did own 5% of Tesla. It's now down to about half of a percent, but they made billions on that as well. It's just they are phenomenal investors, period. I really can't say anything bad about that. It's a very active gamer investor as well, invest in games, big stake in Fortnite, publisher Epic Games, I believe. So, all right. So we've talked about Beeple, and if you're, there it is again. All right. So if you still with me, I've got some stocks to buy through insider buys in March, right? Here's some big ones that I came across on Open Insider. You can use it too. It's a free tool. So I'm calling these strong buys. They're about 15 to 12 to 15, maybe 17% uplift here. But Keurig Dr. Pepper, KDP, right? In early March, board member and corporate insider Robert Singer made 4 informative purchases of KDP shares. Singer paid nearly $500,000 for 9,500 shares. The price target is at 40. Now understand, if you are an insider, you must hold these for 6 months, right? And nobody buys to lose money. a lot of ways people sell for a lot of different reasons, but you only buy for one. And then finally, it's Denspla Sirona. Its ticker is X-Ray. Interesting. The insider trade was made by board member Gregory Lusser. He bought 5,000 shares of stock on March 4th. He paid almost $300,000 for them. Following the purchase, the director now owns close to 24,000 shares that are valued about 1.5 million. Price target there is 71. If you join our stocktrade.tips, that website, we give you the floor, we give you the price target, we give you where the resistance is, we tell you who sized up and bought. It's kind of what we do there. So they are a sponsor. I'm glad you have stayed with me. Appreciate you guys. Give a big shout out to Chris. You're always around. Really appreciate you, man. And with that said, guys, we're here every day. So find us here tomorrow. Cheers. Watch your six. Go hard and paint. We'll see you tomorrow.